Excuses and hang-ups. Excuses and hang-ups. We all have them, but what are we going to do about them? Sometimes we just sit back and we ignore them. Because why? Chances are, probably because we just like making excuses for the reasons why we don't do things. But the question I have to ask myself is, why do I do the things that I do sometimes? And I realize that it's easier sometimes to make excuses for the reason why, or let's just say the reason that I'm not getting closer to God. That is my own fault. And I always say that 9 times out of 10, the reason that what stands in our way is ourselves. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It has nothing to do with the fact that we want to blame it on somebody else, or we want to blame it on work. I'm too busy to work. I got this going on. Well, you know what? Some of the people I know got a whole load of stuff to do in their lives, but yet they still find time to worship God, to spend time with Him. And I'll be honest, I'm completely guilty of not spending enough time with Him because, it doesn't matter what I do in my life. I'm never going to be able to repay that debt. But the only thing that I should do with my life is the fact that I should worship Him with everything that I have, and everything that I'll ever have, and everything that I'm ever going to be. And that should be for all of us. There's so many people that make so many excuses. But when are we going to push those things aside and actually be like, God, I want a relationship with You. I don't want anything at all to stand in the way of me and You. You mean too much to me, and You loved me first. So it's about time that I did something back. And that is what is very, very important in our lives that we don't ever see. We make all these excuses of why we can't get closer to God, why we can't pray with somebody, why we can't go visit somebody, why we can't go visit the sick, or why we can't spend time with someone who actually really needs it. Because we'll throw an excuse that way. But in actuality, we really just don't want to get off our rears and actually do something. I mean, it's the truth. And, excuses. I can't make them enough. I mean, I say I have my own excuses that I talk about. But one thing that I know for sure is that God loves you. There's nothing that can take you away from Him once you're in the palm of His hand. Once you're in the palm of His hand. God says that nobody, not even the devil, can pluck you away from His hand once you're in His righteous right hand. But nobody ever thinks to stop and think about this. What are we going to do? We just continue to go on, but doesn't people need our help too? God always is trying to develop. His hand is out. His hand is out, always trying to say, "Hey, I want a relationship with You." I picture a little kid and a dad, and I picture when that kid falls, the dad holds out his hand and says, "Come on, I'll help you up." Or say, "I'm here, you'll be okay once you get a scratch." When we cry out, God hears us. And it's the same way with the kid that falls and scrapes his knee, and he cries out to his dad, and his dad runs over there and scoops him up and says, "It'll be okay. I promise it'll be okay. I'm going to take care of you." And so when we get scrapes, when we run into bad things in our lives, what makes us think that God isn't and can't do the same thing?